This podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
At Starbucks, we've more than doubled paid parental leave, now up to 18 weeks. Which means Starbucks baristas can spend more time with the best company they know, their families. At Starbucks, benefits like parental leave are just the start.
Hey, I'm Candice Lim.
And I'm Kate Lindsay, and you're listening to ICYMI.
In case you missed it,
Slate's podcast about internet culture. And Candice, our long-distance relationship has finally come to an end, at least for now. We're here for a good time, not a long time, but we are face-to-face in the recording studio. How does it feel?
it feels great to be in the studio with you, Kate.
Yeah, I gotta
so
be
great.
honest. It is different, but it's also not.
I know.
Because I can't touch you, and I won't. And I won't, because this is a professional workplace. But how are you liking New York?
I'm liking New York. I think there have been some fun, unexpected moments. It's giving girls. It's giving Sex in the City.
I gotta be honest, I've seen you and Vic and Daisy more than anyone else. My husband's on vacation this entire week. I was trying to fall asleep last night.
Yeah.
And the only thing my brain could synthesize was work stuff. Because I'm not joking, you guys are the only people I've talked to this week.
I know. I don't know if we should leave this in the episode. Producer Vic, you were in my dream last night.
Wow.
Oh, Vic is walking out? Oh, Vic quit. Oh,
Vic quit. Vic quit.
Great,
Yeah.
thanks. Oh, I'm getting called in? Got it. Yeah, no, I feel the same of like, look, we've had parties, we've had after parties, we've had work lunches. It's just
after parties, which
yeah.
is just going to work the next day.
Hell yeah. We've had cool sips.
Cool
That's right.
sips.
Should we talk about the cool sips of it all?
Yeah. If anyone remembers, during the episode we did about season 2 of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, I tried and loved, it turns out, dirty soda, which is the drink that Mormons seem to love. It's all over Salt Lake City, and it's basically where you mix soda with half and half, lime,
Diet
sweet
Dr.
cream,
Pepper.
I'm describing the dirty, which is what I tried on the podcast. Loved, got it again when we went earlier this week. Candice, what did you get?
Okay. Here's the deal, guys. I'm scared. I am scared. I was scared. I just get a little weird about cream and soda mixing together. Yeah,
as you should.
Yeah, these are excuses, but basically I got a regular mango hibiscus tea. And look, it was cute. But here's the thing. I do still think it was worth it, Kate. And I thank you for bringing us there, because guess who was there filming the next season of Summer House? Sierra Miller. You know her from Traitors. She was literally there with a new cast member, so that was kind of a scoop. And don't worry, Andy Cohen, I didn't scoop you. But it was kind of fun because I watched Summer House and I was like, oh, this is a New York moment. Here we go.
I don't watch them. I have seen the Traitors, so when you said that, I was like, oh, I know exactly who that is. She was there with her little dog.
Yeah.
And they were looking great. And we tried our best to be in the background without being obvious about wanting to be in the background. So maybe you'll see us whenever this comes out.
Heck yeah.
I don't know if I'll catch it though, because I have never seen Summer House. Don't watch Summer House because, as we may all know, I am loyal to one reality show franchise and one franchise only, and that is Love Island.
That's right.
Specifically, Love Island UK. So for those who aren't familiar, Love Island is kind of now a global franchise. It started in the UK. It's now in Australia. Most recently, it's now in the US. Essentially, the gist is they throw a bunch of singles in a villa somewhere warm and beautiful, and they have to couple up. And then they have to recouple. And then they throw in bombshells, which are just new hot people for them to, choose from. Maybe they disrupt a relationship. Maybe they do a little switcheroo. UK just had Casa Amor, which is when they just fully throw the boys and the girls in with 2 new casts of the opposite gender and see if they crack on, which is a term the UK uses a lot. I don't know words for how much it meant to me. I discovered it with season 4.
Yeah.
Which is when Danny Dyer Danny Dyer, also Danny Dyer's daughter, was on. And I just fell in love. I love Ian Sterling, who's the narrator. I think it's bonkers that they just couple up and have to sleep in the same bed. I mean, everything I thought was crazy now is just so normal to me. But, even though I've heard Australia's good, even though I know US has started popping off, I grew up a bit in England. And so I am just loyal to it. I look forward to it every summer. I love to fire up my VPN. And so even if I'm not like in England in body, I'm there in like digital spirit.
I feel that. It's your comfort. It's your version of home. I mean, it's so funny because I didn't even know there was like a Love Island franchise, because now there's Love Island USA, which I would say didn't really pop off here until season 6. That's last season. This is Ariana Madix joining post the Vanderpump Rules of it all. This is Leia, Cordell, Rob. I mean, so many things made season 6 just kind of this mainstream fodder for the first time. And now we're in season 7, which I would say ramped up. More gas. Have you been keeping up with season 7?
So I watched season 6 after I finished Love Island UK last year. I fired up Peacock, not sponsored. No. Watched it all because I was seeing clips on TikTok and I was like, wait, this looks kind of good. And I did enjoy it. This time around, I saw both were coming up. Both are airing at the same time. I don't have the bandwidth to in real time consume both. But it is scary how much I know about what has happened this season on USA Love Island just from being on TikTok and like seeing people's Instagram stories.
I'm the same. Not a watcher, and yet every single day I'm getting TikToks of it. And to me, I actually feel like it's enough because I think social media has kind of become like the B-side of every Love Island season. There's what we watch on the show, and then there's what people are saying and discovering on social media, from TikTok to Reddit to Instagram to Facebook.
Yeah, the Facebook mums, as they're called in the UK fandom. They're there and they're powerful. And the UK in particular has really struggled with how to manage the relationship between the cast members on the screen and then the screens we have in our hands and social media. And it's actually experienced a number of tragedies thanks to social media harassment. And in light of those, the UK season in recent years has attempted to improve the show's relationship with social media and kind of also the post-villa experience of these cast members, getting them, aftercare, therapy, guidance. But, recent events in the newer Love Island USA franchise, the way things are being handled, the fury of the fans, it has me feeling I think I've seen this film before and I didn't like the ending.
Yeah, and before we get into all of that, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll walk through the Love Island franchise's prickly relationship with social media and harassment. And later, how the USA version is failing to learn from the UK's mistakes.
This podcast is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Because Progressive offers discounts for paying in full, owning a home, and more. Plus, you can count on their great customer service to help you when you need it, so your dollar goes a long way. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save on car insurance. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states and situations.
The 7-seat Volvo EX90 is a car made for finding tranquility in midtown traffic, with a serene Scandinavian interior. Made to help avoid potential hazards along city streets, thanks to advanced safety features. And with intuitive technology and Google built in, it's the car made for finding the best bagel in Brooklyn. The fully electric Volvo EX90 is perfect for New York. Visit volvocars.com/US to learn more. Google is a trademark of Google LLC.
Hey, quick question. Have you subscribed to Slate Plus? Because if you love our podcast, then I really think you should consider subscribing to Slate Plus, because On there, we release really great bonus episodes, like our latest where Kate tells me about this crazy, waspy drama surrounding a woman who gets kicked out of a hotel in Western New York. She takes it to TikTok. People are picking sides. Which one are you on? Well, you can find out more about that story if you subscribe to Plus, where you'll access ad-free listening across all your favorite Slate podcasts, including bi-weekly bonus episodes of our show. So subscribe now on Apple Podcasts by clicking Try Free at the top of our show page, or visit slate.com/ICYMI Plus to get access wherever you listen.
And we're back. And I just want to start with a trigger warning that this episode will include discussion of suicide because Love Island UK, while it's fun and raunchy and ridiculous at times, in recent years, it kind of has existed under this shadow because 3 different people, 2 of them cast members, one of them the host, have died by suicide in the show's 10 years on air.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty clear across social media that people think it's because of social media. But what do you think, Kate?
Yeah, so obviously none of us could ever fully know what internal battles the people were facing when these events happened, but all 3 of them did face some kind of backlash either from their time on the show or events that happened after once they were in the spotlight. So these deaths occurred in 2018, 2019, and 2020. The first was Sophie Graydon. She was in Love Island Season 2. She was partnered with a man, but kind of made history by entering the couple's first same-sex pairing with Katie Salmon. Graydon, she was quite emotional on the show. When she would talk to other cast members who were going through things, she would maybe cry along with them, very empathetic. But the audience, they saw that and they were like, I think that's inauthentic. I think she's playing a game. Right. I think it's acting for the camera. And they began attacking her online. And in an interview in 2018, Graydon said, no one anticipated Love Island's success because she was on it still very early. Mm-hmm. We became public property overnight, and everyone had an opinion, both good and bad. On leaving the show, I descended into quite a dark, dark place owing to the amount of negativity focused towards me. There were positives and some lovely people, but I would always let the negatives outweigh the positives. I started to believe that what these people were saying about me was true. And so that interview was given in March of that year. And 2 months later, on June 20th, she had died by suicide. And her boyfriend actually died by suicide 20 days later.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And look, we end up talking about people who face intense online hate often on this show. People get doxxed. People get told to harm themselves. And this has all become so common. It's like plenty of people feel like contestants are signing up to be harassed when they're on one of these shows. But Love Island is also different than most other dating competition shows. You know, most dating competition shows, the winners are chosen by other contestants. With Love Island, the audience at home decides who wins. So this show has been courting the social media audience in a way that is much more important to the show, much more part of the DNA of Love Island itself than, for example, any Bachelor property.
Yeah, and Love Island in particular, it's not like Selling Sunset, which, once again, haven't watched, so feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but, it's a work-based reality show.
Right.
Love Island requires you to be really vulnerable in terms of, the human experience of love, but also entertaining. And so when it comes to romantic relationships, that means behaving badly. There's no way. It's not interesting if everyone is an angel and they couple up and they're loyal and it's all polite. We wouldn't watch the show. Mm-hmm. But instead of being okay, thank you for the entertainment, when someone kisses one person and then runs off and kisses another, viewers can get really worked up. And so Mike Thalassides was a footballer and a contestant on season 3, and he ended up earning the nickname Muggy Mike. Now, to mug someone off is UK parlance for being kind of a fuckboy with them.
Yeah.
In the case of him, he's flirting with another contestant's partner, and Muggy Mike became this hashtag online.
Yeah, and you wouldn't think it's kind of a big deal or something worth, naming, because, isn't that kind of the point on the show to, couple up and then, recouple?
Right,
yeah.
To get your graft on. Literally, this season of UK, way worse happens. It's kind of wild to me how mild his quote-unquote sin is.
Right.
But, Tesco, which is a grocery store in the UK, released a line of Muggy Mike mugs, which had his name on it alongside his face. It was, they fully were making money off of this, harassment, and he did not make any money from this. And on March 16th, 2019, he died by suicide. And, to announce his death, some headlines even used the Muggy Mike nickname to, identify him.
And that brings us to a topic we've talked about before in our episodes about Tattle, which is kind of like that online pre-Reddit, like tabloid cesspool. We've also talked about Meghan Markle, and all of this is just kind of revolving around the brutality of the UK press and tabloid cycle, because even though UK, smaller country, they just tend to be more invasive and cruel and unhinged than U.S. press.
Yeah, relentless. And the UK press played a huge role in the final death, which is the death of Caroline Flack, its most recent suicide to have come from the series. She was the initial host of Love Island. She had hosted other shows before this. She was like kind of in TV, but she also had a very public love life. So she dated Prince Harry, which is like actually wrote about it in Spare. And then later she dated Harry Styles very briefly, but that was obviously contentious because she was 32 and he was 17. In 2017, she ended up stepping down from Love Island after a mental health incident that involved her boyfriend at the time, tennis player Lewis Burton. So she was charged with assaulting Burton, even though he himself did not support the prosecution. But during this time, media coverage, once again, relentless. And it was her role as Love Island host, a show about love, that like really put her in the spotlight for this kind of coverage about this trial. And so she died on 15th of February in 2020, a little less than a month before she was due to stand trial for all of this. And that was also in the middle of Love Island season 6. So she had stepped down. Her friend, actually, Laura Whitmore, stepped in and was hosting that season.
Laura married to Ian Sterling.
Married Ian Sterling, yeah. So, like, they're all close. And so here's a clip from the beginning of the episode that aired after the news of Caroline's death broke.
We are all absolutely devastated by the tragic news that Caroline, a much-loved member of our Love Island family, has passed away. Our thoughts are with her family and friends at this dreadful time. Caroline and me were together from the very start of Love Island, and her passion, warmth, and infectious enthusiasm were a crucial part of what made the show connect with millions of viewers. Like many of you, right now we're all just trying to come to terms with what has happened. My only hope is that we can all try and be kinder, always show love, and listen to one another. Caroline, I want to thank you for all the fun times we had making our favourite show. You were a true friend to me. I'm going to miss you, Kaz.
I can't hear his voice break. Like, he's normally so chipper, and that's like clearly so real.
Yeah, very vulnerable moment coming from the behind the scenes of it all. And like you've heard that voice before, that is Ian Sterling. He is the comedian who voices both the UK and the USA versions of the show.
Yeah, and his whole thing is like, tonight. Like, so this is such a departure. And like this segment that we've been doing is super heavy, but all this context I think is really necessary for us to talk about now what's happening over in the USA Villa. So the Love Island franchise kind of platforms their contestants as fair game for this kind of relentless public ownership and scrutiny. And, you know, the UK has witnessed some of the worst case consequences for that.
And the relationship between reality TV and social media is one that everyone is still working out, but given Love Island's history, the Love Island producers in particular have an even bigger responsibility to keep the contestants' mental health in mind when it comes to their decisions.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about the social media controversies plaguing USA Season 7, but first, let's take a break. When we come back, how the series keeps failing to address controversies and what it should learn from the UK to not make the same mistakes.
This episode is brought to you by Marshalls, where you never have to compromise between quality and price. The buyers at Marshalls hustle hard, working to bring you great deals on brand name and designer pieces. Because Marshalls believes everyone deserves access to the good stuff. Visit a Marshalls store near you or shop online at marshalls.com.
Abercrombie Kids is bringing the ultimate first day energy back to school. It all starts with on-trend outfits for that front door photo shoot. Plus, the coolest tees, shorts, and jeans to take them through the rest of the year. Get them ready for their close-up and keep them comfy too. Make this grade their best one yet. Shop all things back to school, in-store, online, and in the app.
When kids don't play, they grow up without creativity. They'll try to blend in and wear chinos, or worse, polyester chinos. Good thing Gushers, Fruit by the Foot, and Fruit Roll-Ups are made to be played with. You better be playing.
And we're back, and it's time to talk about Sierra. If you haven't heard, Sierra Ortega, a contestant on season 7 of Love Island USA, was very quietly kicked off the island this past week.
Sierra has left the villa due to a personal situation.
The poor Ian, just those clips in a row. Now I'm like, it sounds like this man never has any fun. He is a great fun presenter.
I know. And what Love Island isn't saying, but social media absolutely is that last week, a 2-year-old Instagram story from Sierra resurfaced along with an older Instagram post where she used an anti-Asian slur. And while some didn't see her removal coming, she's not even the first contestant this season to be removed for a personal situation. Yulissa Escobar was on the island for 2 days when racist comments she made on a podcast resurfaced, leading to her getting removed accordingly.
Yeah, and we are not debating whether or not the producers did the right thing for removing these people for their past social media posts. You know, what Sierra wrote on her Instagram story was a slur, is a slur. What Yulissa said was racist. What this does show is that Love Island USA is listening deeply and carefully to what is going on outside the island and on social media. But with that in mind, I don't know if this was handled correctly. You know, I want to read this excerpt from a piece by Taryn Finley in Refinery 29. I'm not completely sure that kicking her off the show rectified the real problem here, especially when the producers are picking and choosing who to punish. When an old video recently surfaced of Nick Van Steenberg making a stereotypical joke about Chinese people eating cats, both fans and producers seemed to largely ignore it in comparison. And just days ago, Austin Shepard, who was voted out last week, was outed for reposting racist TikToks before going on the show. Like, the videos promoted violence against Black women and spread myths about crime in Black communities. And Love Island UK, I should say, is really under fire for its inability to, have a racially diverse cast, and that's actually one of the things USA has been praised for. Yeah. And so to have someone like this, and just it's frustrating in so many ways. And Shepard issued an apology on Saturday, blaming his, quote, dry sense of humor.
And yet producers did nothing.
Yeah, Finley adds in their piece, there's a double standard at play. Both Sierra and Nick used anti-Asian language, yet only one is being held accountable. Austin shared racist ideologies about Black people, yet his Instagram and TikTok posts are filled with positive comments. Though it's important to correct people when they say and do offensive things, nothing good comes from dogpiling onto those already facing scrutiny.
Yeah. And what's interesting about Sierra and Nick from this season getting called out for this, they were actually in a couple. And they were kind of being rooted for, and then they weren't. And on top of that, Nick has been going viral on the show because him and Olandria might have a thing. TikTok,
even I know that, again,
right?
From TikTok. Yeah.
TikTok's really trying to make that happen. So a part of me as a viewer, as someone who's viewing this on TikTok, is are people trying to manipulate the narrative by bringing up stuff, getting people kicked out that they don't want, right? But the post from Sierra, they resurface. A few things happen online in response to this. First, people are watching her Instagram follower count go down by 100K, 150K, 200K. There were TikToks of watch parties cheering when she was removed from the island. And for 48 hours while we were waiting to hear from Sierra, the first thing we do hear from her camp is from her family in a post on Instagram. And they write, "We're not here to justify or ignore what's surfaced. We understand why people are upset and we know accountability matters, but what's happening online right now has gone far beyond that." They continue, "The threats, the cruel messages, the attacks on her family, her friends, even her supporters, it's heartbreaking. It's uncalled for. And no one deserves that kind of hate, no matter what mistake they've made." But finally, after 48 hours, we do hear from Sierra in what she calls not an apology video, but an accountability video.
I know a lot of people have been waiting for me to speak up about the news that's come to light recently, and now that I've been back in the US for about 48 hours and I've had the chance to process, I now feel like I'm at a space where I can speak about this without being highly emotional because I am not the victim in this situation. While I was in the villa,
so Sierra says that she is taking full accountability for using that word. She says at the time, she didn't know it was offensive until someone DM'd her and explained why it was an anti-Asian slur. Sierra says she took down any content of hers that used the word, and she says she learned in that moment. But she says the backlash is hard because she's trying to grow with grace. And what's been harder is that she's been getting death threats, and people have called ICE on her family.
I mean, yeah, that's awful. That is like the worst thing I've ever heard.
Right? And her family feels unsafe in their own homes.
Which should not be happening because of a reality show.
Exactly. And I like Sierra's response to that, which is that she says there's no need to fight hate with hate.
Until Sierra got out of the villa, the only person who could speak for her was the friend that she put in charge of running her social media account while she was in there. And the friend posted a statement saying she was stepping back from the account on request of Sierra's family. And I think this is a good place to start when it comes to how the U.S. could learn from the UK's mistakes, because the UK, up until recently, also had handlers for people's social media accounts. And what that basically means is it's a person that the contestant designates to get their login and to keep their profile active while they are in the show. And like for a while, it was like, oh, there's cheerleading them on. They're being like, okay, make sure to vote for so-and-so, posting just little bits of commentary, things like that. It's supposed to be innocent, but that encouraged fans to interact with it, you know, especially if the person was in the villa doing something they didn't like. They knew there was not only an account for them to go vent at, but one that might talk back. And so not only are the handlers having to navigate hate, but then the contestants would come back to this like barrage of feedback that they missed. Handlers would get in feuds with each other, like, you know, especially, let's say a girl coupled up with a boy who was being sus and they couldn't see it on the show, but, you know, her handler could. Like, it is kind of charming in the past when handlers would disagree with the decisions of, like, their friend on the show and they'd be like, come on. And so sometimes they would get in fights with each other. And in other cases, it's run by, like, family and people who are really close to the people in the villa. And then they see this hate, they see death threats, they see this horrible harassment. And even though it's not directed towards them, they care about that person, and it's really hard to witness. And so by season 9, a social media ban went into effect. That was around 2022. No more handlers. The social for contestants goes dark when they're in the villa. They leave comments on, which if I was going in there, comments off. But yeah, they're all just sitting there. All of their bios say things like, "I'm off to find love in the villa." Like, and this is like, it's literally like a away message, like city over there.
Yeah. I should do that for work.
Yeah,
I'm off to find,
record a podcast. Wait, no, I should say whenever I go on vacation that I'm off to find love in the Love Island
and then people will be like, "Oh my gosh, she's going on Love Island UK."
Yeah,
Damn. But this very particular relationship with social media, it's infiltrated the show. Because is it correct that like the UK has scrapped certain challenges because of this?
Yes. So early on, the UK had these 2 challenges that were the Twitter challenge and the headline challenge. And what they would do is basically collect tweets from people that would be like, oh, this girl is just using that guy. And they would blank out the names. And the people on the show would have to guess whose names were in there. And so it's like, if they got the names wrong and then revealed the correct ones, that's like 4 people getting insulted from like all angles. And so that got eliminated. Headline is similar. It would be, you know, The Sun or Daily Mail headline about the villa. Usually, you know, they something similar to a muggy mic, but it would be blacked out and the contestants would need to guess. But they got rid of those. And the thing is, like, those are great for drama because sometimes, especially right now in UK, they are in there making decisions based on a lack of awareness of what others have done and said, like, in different conversations. And it is maddening to watch them, like, a girl pine after a guy who's, like, actively lying to her. And so there is a catharsis when that happens to be, like, finally some outside input. But I also imagine, especially in the Twitter challenge, if you know that there's going to be a segment where tweets get read, and you want to be on the show, you would probably maybe tweet more. You would maybe tweet something more aggressively to try and get the attention. And so in the end, I think the challenges ended up encouraging a level of like social media harassment feedback that ultimately did more harm than good. And so that's kind of how they operate now when it comes to certain challenges. Is they're not making no one graft. They're not encouraging, people still need to do drama, but what can they do to basically not leave a wide open goal for hate?
Yeah. And I think that is the problem with the Sierra stuff and how Love Island took care of it or didn't. Love Island let the backlash brew for days before finally addressing it. And when the Sierra stuff came out, people would make TikToks. They would joke about the producers waking her up bright and early, being like, you need to vacate the premises. And then it came true. So part of me is kind of like, were the producers also watching these TikToks after they were filming and they were getting fed those on their For You page and they were like, oh, should we do that?
Yeah, it's I do think it can be for the better for the producers to keep tabs on what social media is saying, especially if someone is getting a really, really bad reaction, because people do things on the show that are more than just being muggy. It can be there's ways that men talk to women that people don't like, or vice versa. Yeah. And people can get, it's not just annoyed, really indignant about it. And, this isn't confirmed, but it's widely believed in the fandom that you'll see, a really outrageous thing happen. And then the next day, what is believed to be a producer orchestrated apology from the person to kind of shield them from that really intense anger. And it's obviously, is it genuine? I don't know. But I do think ultimately it's the right move for the producer to clock when the reaction is so bad that it could really harm the person and get them to change course.
Yeah. On either the UK or US version, do you think that the social media harassment of it all has made future contestants be very couched in the way they perform in the villa because they're scared of harassment?
Yeah, in the UK at least, for not this season. People say this season is a refreshing departure, but I would
they're more unhinged.
They're more unhinged, and they're not influencers.
Oh, interesting.
Because that's how UK started. They're all I'm a Thatcher. I'm a vet. Yeah. They're just all that stuff. But then as it became more popular, more influencers came on, and more people who were aware of public perception. And people did say it. It kind of lost its. People weren't moving mad as you want them to, which is why it's why are you harassing people to the point of them going into hiding when the show is boring if they're not acting out. So, but people this season they don't really have any influencers, which I think helps with them being a little bit more unguarded. They're not used to thinking about how they might come across. So it is this season a little bit better. But I mean, if I was over there. Not that they're knocking at my door. They're banging it down for me to come on Love Island every season. But I would have to say no because I just couldn't handle it.
Yeah, me neither. And I think it is refreshing to have the UK version kind of have this reset. Because I think one big difference between the UK and US fandom is look, US press may not be as bad, but our country is much bigger. The US audience is growing. The UK tabloids are just another level of toxic that even I don't think I can handle. But I think what we're getting at is this is an industry-wide problem of how do reality shows acknowledge or not acknowledge social media's impact on their storytelling, on the narrative, on the production? Because Love Island is different from other reality shows, reality dating shows, right? It's real time. It's every day. It is like baseball. Whereas other shows, couples therapy even, Love is Blind, they usually tape and then release episode months, years later,
Yeah. I would say the closest equivalent to Love Island is Big Brother, where you're seeing it in real time. Big Brother even has an ability to watch a live stream. It's really immersive. But Big Brother does not have the same shadow hanging over it in terms of the tragedies that have happened. And so Love Island is just under extra scrutiny. I mean, as it should be.
Yeah. And like we mentioned earlier, social media is part of the show's DNA and always has been. The audience picks who wins by voting. So Love Island does have a reason to engage with social media directly. But it also feels like they only choose to engage with the toxic part and not as a tool to weed out controversial or potentially dangerous contestants, but to possibly create conflict purposefully down the road. Sometimes I feel like the producers want you to hate these people. It's rage bait for clicks and views, but it's not misleading headlines. It's a person.
Yeah, I mean, social media and public opinion, even though they're not doing the Twitter challenge, it's still so baked into the show. both US and UK have an app. And the point of the app is every probably a week or so, you're invited to vote for your favorite or your least favorite or like who you think the most genuine is. Like it's very interactive. It wants you to be giving your constant opinion on these people, then their personalities. And you have, I think, a little bit more control over, like there was one season where everyone just basically hated all the contestants except for this one couple that just kind of did their thing in the background and were nice to everyone. And people were just so pissed off at all the like kind of unlikable characters that were seemingly in line for the potential $50K, which is what they would win, that everyone just voted for this boring couple and they won. And no one was more surprised than them. And they're the sweetest couple. It's Kai and Sanam, and I love them.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the app thing is really important because like I was at a Love Island watch party the other day. I gotta be honest.
I went to bed. I was invited to this, and Vic and Candice went. I was in bed.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's okay because I gotta admit, boring episode. But the second the episode ended, I saw a ton of people in the bar pull up the app and just start voting, just going. There's something so Pavlovian. They wanted to jump at the response, and I was like, that's democracy,
right? And I think it's no coincidence that like democracy right now feels very fragile. And so it's like, I have a little bit of control over something and and you can exercise it. And I mean, in addition to the app, fan accounts are a huge thing. People make fan accounts for the contestants. They make fan accounts for certain couples.
Nicolandria.
That's
right.
The fandoms will go to war with each other. I mean, it is such part of, I mean, every time I watch an episode of UK, I go right to the Reddit. That's where I spend time. But there are people who consume it solely through Twitter, and that's where they congregate to talk about it after the episode. Or the Facebook mums, as we mentioned earlier.
Instagram comments, the reels they make. The reaction video economy based off Love Island is making other creators go viral too.
Yeah. And so they that's the thing. It's like you watch the show, but that's just part one. Part two. And so when the show ends or when a contestant leaves and you've been used to having that level of like talking about them, influencing them, it's hard to just turn that off.
Yeah. I think it's also hard to turn it off because this is probably one of the closest monocultural events we have right now, just like right now in this month. And Love Island, therefore, is seeping into the podcast, the YouTubes, like everything we watch. So with this type of visibility, with this type of platform, the best thing these producers on Love Island can do potentially is kind of make sure they're not making any contestant too vulnerable to any kind of backlash, because I know that like having conflict on a reality show, a Jax Taylor some may say, is kind of the key to having a hit. But also like you're getting hate for not handling Sierra correctly. Sierra's getting hate and worse for just kind of like being thrown into a villa and not even knowing this is happening. It's a lot. And I think what people are asking on social media is like, how did producers not see Sierra's IG story? Maybe they did and said, we'll think about it later. And so I think at the end of the day, producers, pre-production team of Love Island, maybe don't bring someone on and vet a little more. Maybe the public shouldn't be better investigators than you and finding it before you.
This happens all the time. And it is wild to me that there's not some poor person just doing a control F for all the different things that should get someone eliminated, because it's like not only is there in the initial, okay, what are their attitudes about race that would be dangerous to have on the show? But then it's like if it's in the case of like Sierra, where it's a very old but problematic comment, the outsized reaction that gets of having ICE called on her family, that's it's irresponsible to put someone in that position, even if that person is wrong and deserves backlash, which is the case here. But it's like the internet can't stop it. Just like, that was bad. You shouldn't have said that. It just piles on. It keeps going. And that's kind of the point that the Refinery 29 article was making, where it's like, I think she's got it now.
Yeah.
But not only does she got it, why did none of the other boys who have done this get any of it? Which we know the answer.
Yeah, I will say, look, Nicolandria lovers, I want to be one of you, but if you ever look at Nick's TikTok page and you really scroll, you'll get an ick. I promise you, there's some ickies in there. But on top of that, I think a conversation I'm seeing on TikTok and Reddit about Sierra is that there are so many layers to this. She is Mexican-American, and there are questions of if she was white, even if she said the same slur, which once again is a slur, would Love Island have at least tried to maybe keep her on, maybe just a little longer? Is there something else going on? Is there something else going on there? And I think that is the part of social media that kind of makes us as viewers have a more critical lens on it, and maybe our power, our ability to get Sierra off the show. It is a power that we have, we hold. Are we getting too powerful? I don't know.
Well, yeah, and the race of the contestant should be kept in mind when they're thinking about potential backlash, that someone like Sierra is going to get much more harmful. I mean, how ice cold are their family? Like that is not something, for the most part, that would happen to a white person, and that it's like, it never should have happened. It never should have gotten to this point. Right. They should have caught that. Yeah. And as for the people's responsibility, I mean, the thing is, again, someone can be horrible on the show. They can, I mean, there's someone on the UK show right now who I really dislike. And I think they've been moving mad. I think they've been cruel to the girls. Moving mad. I think they've been cruel to the female contestants. I think they've been way too forgiving to the male. They haven't gotten any kind of comeuppance on the show yet, but when they're not on my screen anymore, all I will do is say, thank you for the entertainment. Like, if you weren't there, I wouldn't have had anything interesting to watch the show about. And so if you're not on my screen, you are not my problem. And I kind of encourage other viewers to take that same attitude. Thank you and goodbye is what you say to them and to you.
Okay, that's the show. We'll be back in your feed on Wednesday, so definitely subscribe. That way, you never miss an episode. And for Slate Plus listeners, you have another bonus episode already in your feed. Be sure to listen to Kate tell me all about some hotel drama involving a lamp, a porch, and water jugs. If you're not already a Slate Plus member, you can subscribe by hitting try free at the top of our show page on Apple or Spotify. Or you can visit slate.com/ICYMI Plus.
ICYMI is produced by Vic Whitley-Berry, Candice Lim, and me, Kate Lindsay. Mia Lobel is Slate's executive producer of podcasts, and Hillary Fry is Slate's editor-in-chief. See you online.
Or as a hot new bombshell entering the villa.
This episode is brought to you by FX's Alien Earth, the official podcast. Each week, host Adam Rogers is joined by guests, including the show's creator, cast, and crew, in this exclusive companion podcast. They will explore story elements, deep dive into character motivations, and offer an episode-by-episode behind-the-scenes breakdown of each terrifying chapter in this new series. Search FX's Alien Earth wherever you listen to podcasts.
Want to live better? We've got a lot of work to do. Join Chris Hemsworth in National Geographic's new Disney Plus original series, Limitless. Live Better Now.
I'm diving headfirst into cutting-edge science to uncover 3 powerful secrets to living better right now. The growth that occurs through any challenging experience is really what we seek.
Chris Hemsworth stars in Limitless. Live Better Now. Now streaming on Disney Plus and Hulu.
It's showtime.